Good morning, everybody. So I'm Misha. What the heck was that? I'm not sure. My alarm telling me to go live. That's what that was. That was horrible. Okay, so I'm Misha. I am not a doctor. I'm not a scientist. I am not a nutritionist. I'm just a woman who got really sick. And when the medical community couldn't figure out what was going on, I took a chance on a system that addressed my insulin resistance, and I started feeling better from all kinds of things that I had no idea was going to happen. I really started to just address my diabetes and hopefully some weight loss. As a result, everything in my health started to change. So that happened 2.5 years ago. That set me on a path to understand why addressing that one thing impacted the entirety of my health. So I've been looking up things as I get better, as I have issues, and then I shared the knowledge with you guys. So I just want to be clear about that. I've never claimed to be a doctor. I worked in the medical field for years, but I'm not a doctor, and I just want everyone to know that. I do my best to regurgitate the information I've learned as things come up. Now, last week, because I like to ask questions and I like people to let me know what it is they want me to cover if they're having problems, and everybody wanted to talk about the liver. So we're talking about the liver today. I had wanted to talk about the gallbladder too, but I'm not sure we're going to get to it. And as I was doing research and thinking about it, I'm like, the gallbladder, and especially for people who've had their gallbladder removed, might be a whole other talk. So we'll see how that goes this morning. If I don't get to the gallbladder today, and I'm really thinking I'm going to just wait until tomorrow because it deserves a lot of attention. I want to go over all the things that happen when you have your gallbladder removed and how you need to address life so you don't get as sick as I did last year. But let's start in with the liver and what's going on with insulin resistance in the liver. And you guys, welcome in. Thank you, everybody, for joining this morning. I'm in Maryland, and I like to hear where everybody's from. So if you want to type in while I'm talking where you're from, welcome in, and thank you for joining me. We're going to talk about insulin resistance right now, and then I'm going to link it to the liver. So I just think it's important that everybody understands this thing called insulin resistance. Basically, it's just your body cannot deal with. You're a Maryland girl too. Oh, that's right. I keep forgetting that. You know what? Before I move to Kentucky sometime this year, Jeep girl, we should actually just make a date to just see each other because I don't get out of the house enough. And Toronto, welcome in from Toronto. Maryland, you guys, I have so many Maryland people in here. You know what? I'm going to stop for a second. I moved to Maryland a little over a year ago because my son moved here to work for GE. I was always a West Coast person, but I do like to travel. I'm kind of a rolling stone. And I found, especially this little area of Maryland that I'm in, it's just so rich in history and it's so beautiful. And the people here are just amazing. And I really love it here. I'm actually really sad that we're going to be moving, but I'm just hoping that Kentucky brings us some new adventures and great people as well. In the meantime, I'm going to continue to enjoy Maryland for all the beautiful stuff it has. I live north of Baltimore, so there's a place called The Rocks that I really need to hike into before we take off. It's been a little chilly for me, but when the weather warms up, I'm going to go take that hike. So, welcome in from wherever you guys are at. Maryland people, I love this state. I absolutely love this state. It's been such a beautiful place to be. And Kentucky, we've actually talked about welcome in from California. Um, we've actually, my son, his wife, and I have talked about, especially as I dive in more about food. And I grew up on a little farm. We had chickens and cows and goats, and we raised our own food, a lot of our own food. So I was raised with that, and I guess I'm just kind of getting to a point where I would like to do that again. So we've talked about, getting a piece of property where our family can be on it and we can raise a garden and I can help with the grandkids, and we're just that kind of family. All right, so insulin resistance. Why are we talking about food? Because our body cannot deal with the food that we're getting now. And it's not your fault, it's the food that you're getting. We've had, my family and I have had long conversations about this. When we look at the food not just the packaged and boxed food. And there's just this big misnomer that if you shop the aisles, if you do that stuff and you avoid the packaged foods, that you're going to be healthy. And that's just not true anymore. Our foods have been genetically modified. Fibers, nutrients, proteins, enzymes have been stripped out of our food, and then we don't rotate our crops. So nutrient levels have gone down. And I can't remember the specific 3 nutrients, but iron was one of them. That there are some nutrients, there's 3 in particular, that are 50% less present in our organic foods than they were 30, 40 years ago, because we just are not taking care of our crops in the right way. So we may have a food that looks the same, but nutritionally, it's just not the same for our bodies. And our bodies are kind of like, what the heck is going on? What am I supposed to do with this? So it's causing a lot of disease and disorder. Insulin resistance. Insulin is a hormone that transports sugar, and our food, in absence of these enzymes and fibers and stuff, are creating sugar in our bloodstream too quickly. It's not just the refined sugars. It's not just the breads and cakes and pastas and that. It's your fruits and vegetables have changed as well. So we're getting much more glucose load in the system than ever before. It's not that our bodies have changed so genetically in the last 50 years, because that's impossible. Our food has changed because it's been messed with and modified. Again, the excess glucose is causing the need for excess insulin. Insulin is just carrying that sugar to all the cells of the body to be utilized as energy. And every single cell needs access to insulin. Insulin is just the messenger, though. It's not the creator of the energy. But when we have to have insulin so present so often because we're eating foods that are converting into sugar so much, we start to have a problem. Interestingly enough, there was some studies I just read, and I cannot remember all of the stuff, but again, they were talking about how injecting insulin, excess insulin, so when you are diabetic type 2 and they're giving you insulin, and you're having more problems with the liver. So excess insulin causes this, and we're going to dive into how that happens. This, by the way, is a fatty liver. It's not a healthy liver. This is what a fatty liver looks like. 5 to 10% of the liver being comprised of fat makes it a fatty liver, and then that leads into inflammation in the liver. That increases your insulin resistance, which is increasing the fat, but it also starts to lead to fibroids, and then cirrhosis, and then potentially liver failure. But it all starts with the sugar. It's not starting with fat. When your liver is taking in sugar, let me see if I've got messages I'm missing here. I'll share with you what I do to help with my liver. Insulin issues are from sugar. Now, I don't know where you get fungus. It can, okay, wait, let's stop a second. Because insulin resistance can come from a number of different forms, right? The most prevalent, the most predominant issue with insulin resistance is sugar. You can have inflammation in the body, spiking insulin resistance. You can have a number of other things happen. But the most common cause of insulin resistance is sugar. There are other ways you can be insulin resistant, but they're not predominant. They're like 5% of insulin resistance comes from those things. So we want to deal with the majority of what's causing it for the majority of us, and that's what we're talking about. So somebody just said insulin resistance comes from fungus. Jeep girl, then we'll take let's take a hike up to High Rock, and I would love that. Okay, so. And somebody's asking about a liver detox. I'll share with you what I'm doing in just a minute, okay? Or in a few minutes. I'm not going to say a minute because I'm on for about an hour. This is really important stuff, and there's going to be a lot of questions, and there's going to be some things I can answer, some things I can't, because again, I'm not a doctor. I'm just somebody sharing the information that I've gotten, because I had non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Now, what I was hearing from a nutritionist and a liver specialist on another podcast, a doctor's podcast, was this. They have now redefined non-alcoholic fatty liver disease as metabolic dysregulation associated fatty liver disease. So they're now taking the non-alcoholic out of it because that's confusing people, and they're actually calling it metabolically dysregulated or dysregulated associated liver disease, because it really comes down to the metabolism. Why do so many of us have fatty liver disease now when 30, 40 years ago only alcoholics had it? 1 in 4 people have non-alcoholic fatty liver disease today. The scary thing is there's probably even more than that. They just don't know it and have not been diagnosed with it. So, you guys, one of the top ways that you're going to understand that you have non-alcoholic fatty liver disease or metabolically associated dysregulated, metabolic liver disease is fatigue. Okay, what we want to know is the liver is probably the first organ to become insulin resistant, because the liver does a number of jobs. It's clearing out red blood cells, it's dealing with nutrients, it's dealing with fats. But the fats in our diet are not causing the fats that are causing the problem. The liver converts glucose into a saturated fat in the body called palmitic acid. That can be stored in the liver as fat or passed into the bloodstream, and now you kind of have fatty blood. But that's not even the one that's causing the cholesterol problem in the blood. It's causing some fatty blood, but the stuff that's clogging it is still linked back to sugar. I've gone over that in my heart sections, and I can do that again today if anybody wants me to cover that, and I just might. The LDL. So when the liver is inundated with insulin, normally the liver is taking in glucose and it's breaking it down and creating these chains of glucose called glycogen, and it stores it for future use, for when you don't have sugar coming in, when you're in that fasted state, when you're at rest and not having food. Then the liver can break down those chains of glucose, the glycogen, and turn it back into glucose, put it in the bloodstream, and now you have energy again, even when you didn't eat. And that's a normal, natural, healthy function. And it's going to store some of the glucose as fat in the liver for use later as well. But when we have too much insulin, now the liver is getting confused. Instead of storing those glycogen and only releasing it when the insulin is gone, when we need energy, the liver is over releasing glucose back into the bloodstream. And now we're having problems because there's just too much sugar. The liver's stored way too much fat at this point as well, and it starts to look like this instead of that nice red liver that we should have. And now the liver is having problems functioning. You're starting to feel sick. Your skin might look a little bit more yellow. Your eyes might look a little bit more yellow, and you definitely just feel like you're fatigued. Maybe aches and pains. Inflammation is up in your body. So even all of those things can start to happen even before you get this message that you have a fatty liver disease from your doctor. I do Unicity products, but I do a lot of education. So if you want education, hang out, because I'm going to talk about why the Unicity products work so well and why I've reversed my fatty liver disease and helped a number of other issues just by doing one simple system. Now, when we look at the liver and it's getting diseased and overworked, and you have those things, one of the first cues, one of the biggest cues that you're going to have fatty liver disease is insulin resistance. So let's take a step back and take a look at some symptoms of insulin resistance, because having insulin resistance increases your chances of fatty liver disease by 15 times. You're 15 times more likely to have fatty liver disease if you're insulin resistant than somebody who's insulin sensitive. And it doesn't mean if you're thin, you're not at risk, or if you're heavy, you're at more risk. It has nothing to do with your weight. It has everything to do with insulin. How do you reduce your non-alcohol cirrhosis? So we're going to talk about that. It really has to do with sugar. If you're eating too much sugar from natural sources, from modified or manufactured sources, you're going to be causing your liver to work too hard. Your liver your liver metabolizes all three of the macronutrients, Fats, proteins, and carbohydrates are all metabolized by your liver. So let me take a drink of tea because my lips aren't working. Okay. So diabetes means you've already been insulin resistant for some time. A lot of people, me included, I was likely insulin resistant for about 40 years before it became diabetes, because I was always very active until I couldn't be. I did keto for 10 years. I did all those things. It didn't stop me from getting diabetes because I didn't understand the food that I was eating was causing the problem. I thought I was eating healthy, and this is happening to so many people. You think you're being active, you think you're being healthy. I'm going in, I'm getting blood work that says my glucose numbers are perfect, my A1C is perfect, my cholesterol numbers are great, but I'm sick. I'm starting to have all of this stuff go on. So let's talk about what insulin resistance can look like in the body. You were fine. Yeah. Quitting smoking. Somebody says it was fine till I quit smoking. Quitting smoking is tough, right? Because now you have this dopamine need, and food gives us a dopamine, hits our pleasure reward system, right? So we have problems with that. All right. So what does insulin resistance look like in the body? The 5 top ways that I like to talk about, we're going to talk about many ways. So jot them down. If it sounds like you, jot it down, and then let's talk about it. So number 1, if you have a blood pressure that's 130 over 80 or higher, you're likely insulin resistant. Insulin resistance is kicking off 95% of that heart problem, that high blood pressure, that hypertension. I go over that in a whole other talk, and I'll do that this week sometime, hypertension. But insulin resistance is closely linked to high blood pressure. So even before they figure out that your liver is fatty, before they figure out that you have insulin resistance, if you can take a look at your blood pressure, is your blood pressure always slightly elevated? That's a clue that you're probably insulin resistant. 2 other ways come from your skin. If you have skin tags on your neck, under your arms, in your groin, on your eyelids, places where you rub a lot. Most people get them around their neck a lot and under the arms. Those are signs of insulin resistance. What's happening is you have a hyperproduction, too much, because those cells are getting too much energy, called keratinocytes, and they're overproducing skin cells, and it's got to go somewhere. So it starts poking out like these little pillars or mushroom-like projections of skin. When you get the insulin levels more sensitive, those go away. You don't have to have them cut off. You don't have to have them lasered off, none of that. But skin tags is a clue. If you have those dark rings around your neck, on your elbows, on your knees, some people call it being ashy. My elbow was dark and scaly all the way down to like here, and rings around my elbow, and I would put coconut oil on it, shea oil. I would be scrubbing it all the time, trying to clean that up. It had nothing to do with external factors. It all came from the inside. So there's a whole other function happening there with insulin resistance that's causing those dark skin patches. Same places as the skin tags, in the groin, under the arms, on the elbows, on the knees. I've seen it around the ankles of some people where their ankles are rubbing on their shoes. Those are 3 signs. Now, the other 2 top signs for me that you could be having insulin resistance. If you're a guy and you're suffering with any kind of erectile dysfunction, understand insulin resistance messes with your vascularity, and that can be causing that problem. PCOS, erectile dysfunction, PCOS are now being termed metabolic infertility disorders. They're no longer considered to be solely genetic. It's the insulin resistance that flips the switch that causes that disorder to happen for both PCOS and erectile dysfunction. So those are 5 ways. We're going to go over a couple more. So skin takes. How can we treat all these symptoms? We're going to go over that. What does that look like? Which one? Which one is it? What part look like? I need to know that. And sleep apnea. Yes, sleep apnea is actually one of the things too. So when we look at, I want to talk about fructose, okay? Yeah, if you have many on the list, you're most likely insulin resistant. We're going to talk about how we can get over it here in a minute, and then I'll come back to questions about the liver because so many people want to know how to get over this, okay? But I want to talk about fructose first. Acanthosis nigricans, how can it be treated? By getting your insulin levels normalized. And that means regulating the sugars. That doesn't mean you have to cut them all out, but regulating the sugars you're getting in. And I'm going to give you 6 ways to help that. Yes, you can have 2 Unimate. I'm having one now. I'm having the last of my hot one this morning, and then I'll start sipping on my cold one later. I've had probably 5 Unimate in a day when I was in conferences learning, and I have ADHD, so you sit me down and you make me focus on one thing, and I'm going to pass out. Melba got her system today. So Melba, when we're done with the live, I usually have about an hour to 2 hours of stuff to do after. And then just let me know what's a good time for you and the time zone you're in. And let's get on the phone today and get you started on the system properly. Okay. So acanthosis nigricans can be helped by this as well. Skin tags, okay, that's what you were asking. High protein, low carbs. And I did that. Like I said, I did keto for years, and I was a world champion athlete. I worked out 6 days a week, 3 hours a day. I was still insulin resistant, but not yet diabetic. Okay, so there's a number of processes there. We need to understand it's about the food we're getting in and what's been stripped from our food. So let's talk about that. When I said our food is devoid of phytonutrients, enzymes, fibers, what happens is the fibers are slowing down the delivery of some of these nutrients like glucose into the system. Without the fiber attached, which is what most of our foods look like now, we are getting a high load of glucose really quickly. I do have a website. So if you guys on TikTok, I'll put it in over on Facebook. If you guys just go to my profile here on TikTok, tap on the picture up above. When the white box comes up below, tap on that. You'll get to my profile. In my profile, there's 2 red light symbols. Right below it is the link. And there's a website, a full website in there for you talking about all of this stuff. There's some success stories and whatnot in there as well. And you'll be able to have a deeper look at the things that I'm talking about. So just do intermittent fasting, I'm assuming? No, we're going to get to that because intermittent fasting is helping your gut reset a little bit. It's helping you with HGH increase. It's helping you with ketone increase. It's helping with a number of factors in the body, and it can help detox the liver. So if you're having liver problems, I'm going to agree, intermittent fasting is one of the ways you're going to detox your liver and help it to start get rid of all this toxin that it's holding onto. When the liver is inflamed, that inflammation is going everywhere else in the body, and now you're feeling sick all the time. We didn't finish with insulin resistance, what it looks like. So yes, all of these symptoms up here are insulin resistant, but migraine headaches, body aches and pains, just excess body fat, your eyes starting to fail, your teeth and gums bleeding, vertigo and dizziness, those are symptoms. But common symptoms are like your belly's just starting to grow and look like you're pregnant, whether you're heavy anywhere else or not. That's because of the amount of visceral fat that's being stored in and around those organs, like the liver, the kidneys, the colon. And what we started to talk about fructose, and then I'll get back into the product. But fructose, you guys, is a big driver of non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Fructose is one thing that the liver alone metabolizes. So when you have high levels of fructose coming in, the liver is being overworked. So I'm not saying don't have fruits and vegetables. I'm not saying don't have, the fruits that you love. I'm saying don't eat bushels of them. I'm saying don't have juice. Somebody just messaged me this weekend and said, hey, I'm trying to get better and I eat pretty clean and I just drink this juice and I have that. And juice is just fructose unwrapped from the fibers that are keeping it from spiking in your blood, causing your liver to overwork. Juice, fruit juice, is causing your liver to be overworked and become fatty. You want to help reverse your fatty liver. It's not just about getting rid of alcohol. You need to start paying attention to, are you drinking juice? I don't do it. And then guess what? We put fruit juice in with alcohol, and then we wonder why we're having liver problems. Um, the liver, how to cleanse it. So the biggest thing you can do to help cleanse your liver is address the sugar in your diet. That's the number one thing. You can do all the cleanses in the world. You can do all of that stuff. But if you're not addressing the sugar in your diet that's causing it in the first place, it's just like sweeping your floors and throwing mud all over them right after you've swept them, right? So if you want to sweep your floors and keep them clean, stop dumping mud on them. Okay? Water or beer? Beer's pretty high in sugars too, hon. So beer is causing a lot of problems as well. What about compressed juice that you make at home from fruits? If you're taking the fiber out and it's just a juice, then you're still taking out the thing that's slowing down the sugar from being delivered to your system. We just don't have fruit juice in my house, in my kids' house, anywhere in our houses, because it causes so much problems. If we look at why do so many kids, why have children as young as 6 years old been diagnosed with non-alcoholic fatty liver disease? Maybe because we're pouring fruit juice down our children, telling them that it's a healthier drink. Think about that. Think about that. These kids who are getting non-alcoholic fatty liver disease are also drinking a whole lot of fruit juice. It's a whole lot of fructose going into their little bodies. If you look at a glass of orange juice, you have to juice a whole lot of oranges to get that juice, but you've removed the pulp and the fiber from that to get that juice. Now you're delivering some nutrients for sure, but you're delivering a lot of fructose and glucose, because fruits are generally about half and half, to your liver. And now they're getting sick. So you guys, I'm not going to be able to keep up with all. It's high fructose corn syrup is not great for you either. Take a look at the word high fructose. Corn is a fruit, by the way, or a grain. Yeah, fresh greens, but not everybody can do that. Vegetable juice, you're doing the same thing. If you're doing things like celery juice, you're getting the nutrients, but you've just taken out all the fiber that's going to help regulate those nutrients and get them to your body in a way that's flaxseed after juice. Flaxseed after the juice does not remove the fact that you just fed your liver a whole bunch of fructose. It's not going to remove the fructose that you just dumped into your system. So I don't accept any of those. Crystal Light would be a better choice. Okay, you guys, you're going to have to ask some of those questions again. Yeah, they think juice is an okay alternative, and it's just not. It's just not. What do you recommend to help with these symptoms? So what I recommend is this. It's simple. We're going to get to it right now, and then we're going to come back to all these questions. Green juice with apple or carrots? No. Nope, still the same thing. If you join the company, so Puerto Rico, interested in herbal mate, Lily, let's talk about all of that. I want to tell you, there is no cost to join the company as being a member and buying at the same price that I buy. What we're talking about is a tea in the morning and a pre-meal drink every day. That's what reversed all of these symptoms for me and my insulin resistance. This tea that I'm drinking gives me energy, mental clarity, helps me burn fat for fuel. It does a lot of things. You guys look at my playlist on TikTok, and I'm creating one on YouTube too. So those of you who don't have TikTok can just go to YouTube. But there's 13 benefits of this tea: antioxidants, anti-cancer activities, anti-inflammatory activities, good for your heart health. So many things this tea can help with. But it's not just about the tea. The tea doesn't break my fast. I do it in a fasting window, but it's not just about that. I do this pre-meal drink before I eat anything. This pre-meal drink has fibers, phytonutrients, enzymes. It has vitamins and minerals in it that are all made to help with insulin resistance. So there's a guarantee with this system. You guys, I'm going to talk about that real quick. We're going to get into the benefits of this if you need it. And we're going to talk about all those questions. But these two together, tea in the morning, pre-meal drink 10 minutes before I eat anything, reduces my blood sugar levels. It's what took my A1C from 7.4 down to 5.3. It has helped reduce my blood sugars from 260 fasting to about 98 fasting. It took my triglycerides from over 197 down to about 130. So all of that happens just by adding this in. Now, in the beginning, I still had a lot of, sorry for the language, but shitty food choices. I was in a lifestyle where I was driving for a living, and all that was available during that 8 to 10 hour shift was McDonald's or Burger King, and I couldn't store food because I was driving, so I couldn't keep it in the car. Now, even with all of that and eating one good meal and then having one meal that was just really bad, I was able to reverse all of that. Is that what I recommend? No, of course it's not. But we need to understand that fiber is key. I'm doing a series on the benefits of fiber as well. You guys, fiber is so deficient in our system, in our diets, that it's causing problems. More and more people are speaking up about it. So way beyond like berberine and flaxseed and all of that stuff, it takes a variety of fibers to really encapsulate and change those sugars. Can you do it with some other things? Yes. Do you do it as efficiently? No. So that's the system I use. It helps me regulate those blood sugars. It also helped get my blood pressure down from about 180 over 150 at some point during every day to now it's like 110, 112 over 70, 74 every single day. Is 55 too old to get started? No, it's not. I started at about 55. I couldn't walk up and down stairs. I had a walker and a cane. I was in pain. I didn't want to get up and go anywhere. I didn't want to leave my house. Going to the grocery store was devastating because I was having gastrointestinal issues. I had vertigo that made it unsafe for me to drive. I had a lot of problems. Is it safe for cirrhosis? Yes. One of the things that you'll see with I guess there's some issues out there. I found some clinic from Singapore telling you to reduce fiber intake. That was in regards to gallbladder. But in order to regulate your sugars, we need to understand that the best way to do that is to get fibers in at the time you eat your sugars so that it helps get that regulation down and helps, what I call it is time release the sugar into your system so that it's not just hitting your system like a freight train. Now you're having some sugars, but those fibers create this matrix that encapsulates them and slows down how quickly they're absorbed into your bloodstream. So you're not getting these spikes and dips in your blood sugars. So yes, it's safe for those things. I talked about kidneys on Friday. We've had people with stage 3 kidney disease get better just by addressing their insulin resistance. Same thing with liver. Look, my liver was so bad, I lost my gallbladder. And I'll be talking about the gallbladder tomorrow because I just am not going to have time today. The link to the products is not going through. I've heard, so you might have to refresh your screen or clear your cache or cookies, because every time somebody tells me that, I go in and I check the link and it's working just fine. But if you want, how do I want to say this? If you want to get to it, just message me. And I will get you the link that way. It's not going to, sorry, I don't know where that came from. Okay, so I will get you the link. I will get you answers, but the link is working. So somebody's in my live and I don't know how to get rid of that. Okay, there we go. They're gone. All right, so sorry, you guys. This is a big topic. It's a big topic, and I think I would like to talk about it some more, maybe tomorrow, in tandem with the gallbladder, because there's a ton of information about that. If your liver is sick, you're probably having problems with your gallbladder. If you have problems with your gallbladder, your liver's been sick. Now, the system is number one way that I addressed my liver, right? But yes, I do some extra stuff because I lost my gallbladder. I do like right now I'm doing a detox. It's not just a tea that I drink. It's a tablet that has herbs in it that help release parasites and whatnot from inside my intestinal tract. I do some fasting. Fasting is going to be key in detoxing your liver. That's not a product that I'm selling. You just do some fasting, please. Do if you're physically healthy enough to do it, do some intermittent fasting. Start with a 16/8. And you can message me. I'll help you through fasting. There's a lot of people out there like Mindy Pels who talk about fasting. Dr. Fung talks about fasting, but doing a more like a 36 to 48 hour fast where your gut's really starting to reset, where you're starting to pull out some of these toxins from your system is going to really be helpful to your liver. If you want to support your liver during the times you're eating, that's why I do the system. But my detox is a tablet that I take every morning before I eat or drink anything except for water. And then when I get done with this live, there's a fiber that has like 27 different types of fiber in it that I'll be drinking to help pass all of those toxins and stuff that just got pulled out of my system, get them out so they're not reabsorbing into the system. And then when I go to bed, I have an aloe vera tablet that's kind of a gentle laxative that just helps continue to pull that stuff out. That's what my detox looks like. I do it right alongside the system. And that's in my link tree as well. I do that twice a year, and my gastrointestinal issues like IBS and stuff have gotten a ton better. It's always going to be a problem with me because I have no gallbladder. We'll talk about that again tomorrow. Okay, where can you buy it? So just go to my profile link up top. There will be red lights in my profile. Right below it is the link where to buy it. So let's talk about that really quick to you guys. And let me get the link over on Facebook and YouTube because I want you guys to understand this. When I talk about, why did it do that to me? When I talk about buying it from my link, it's not just, it's that you're getting the 90-day money back guarantee. If you go to Amazon, eBay, Walmart, any of those online sites that you're not buying it, like you use my link, it takes you right into the company. You're not getting the 90-day money back guarantee that they give you, that it will reduce your A1C, your blood glucose, and your lipids if you're doing it consistently. You don't get that guarantee when you buy from those guys because they're not authorized sellers. You're not getting the best price because most people that have called me and said, well, I bought it on Amazon and you never called me. Well, I didn't know you bought it because you didn't use my link. And so you're not getting the coaching. And they ended up spending about $100 a month more than they should have because anyway, whatever. So just use the link. Then you're getting connected to the company. You're getting the guarantees, the low price guarantee, the quality guarantee, the 90-day money back guarantee, and you get reached out to by me. I send you out texts and whatnot so that you can get your answers. I've spent time on the phone every day with people like I will be with Melba today, getting them started on the system, helping them understand it. And then as you go through the system, you get to call and ask me questions, text and ask me questions. And I do answer the phone. And even though I've gotten calls or texts at 2 a.m. when I wake up, I see those 2 a.m. texts and I answer them oftentimes before I even jump on this live. So you get a lot of support. And if you want support from someone like me, then that's where you're going to go, is that link. So let's get that typed in over here because I keep saying. So the link is over on Facebook and YouTube now, you guys. You can find it there. Also, any profile, I'm on YouTube, I'm on Facebook, I'm on TikTok, I'm on Pinterest. Any of those places, you're going to find the link to buy. If it doesn't feel like it's working here on TikTok, you'll see it on my YouTube page as well. Anything for kidneys, the same system that's helping with insulin resistance. I just did a talk on Friday on kidneys. So, hey, Ruby, thank you guys for everybody jumping in. Pituitary gland was giving you 15 days period and had to get a blood transfusion. Ouch. So what I want you to understand is when we talk about the brain function and all of this, the brain becomes insulin resistant at the same time the body does. By far and in large, the liver becomes insulin resistant first, but there are three major organs that become highly insulin resistant as you start to have this problem. And that's your liver, your kidneys, and your brain. Okay. So when you're asking me questions about kidneys and all of that, yes, that can happen too. If you want to watch the replay about kidneys that I did on Friday, go to my YouTube channel and you'll see that live stream there from Friday where we dove into how this affects your kidneys and how it's been helping people, even with stage 3 kidney disease, start to get better and have normal kidney function. So, Farsiga, I am not, you guys, as far as medications, I'm not a proponent of any medications, and I'm not a specialist on all these other things. I know the system helped me, and that's what started me on this path, and that's what I use because I really, look, I tried a number of the other things. I did do the berberine, I did do flax seeds, I did do chia seed pudding, I did do these big green shakes every morning when I was sick, and I was not getting better at the rate that I got better with the system. And um, let me see if I can get the link in here. If you cannot get to the link up top, go to Linktree and type in Coach Misha, and you'll find my Linktree. For some reason, there's a dysfunction over here, so let's fix that. Okay, let me see if I can copy this and put it in here. Okay, so by and large, all of these lives, you guys, if you want to go back and hear information or you missed something, it's hard for me to get them replayed on TikTok right now, but they're always stored on YouTube, and that's a great place for you to just go find them. So I would go there. Now, I just put the link in, but I don't know that it's showing for you guys. So if it does, let me know. You just now managed to lose 15 pounds since you've been on bromocriptine, but I hate it, makes you sleepy. So again, I don't like most of the medications. What I'm learning from the doctors who are specialists in metabolism, like medication after medication after medication, they're saying it's making people more insulin resistant. Even the statin drugs and whatnot for high blood pressure or cholesterol are causing problems. Oh my goodness. I love when people come into my life and then they try to take you for their own practice. Okay. Jack is now banned. Okay. All right. So, okay, let's get back to it, you guys. I just got you have mild liver enzymes. Yep, the link is there. Just go to my profile and it's there. And I just put it in and I'll type it in again. So somebody asked earlier, and I am so sorry, it does not cost anything to join the company as far as being a customer. If you are interested in being a distributor, talking about it, helping other people with their health, there's a link in there to like how I do this, and get a hold of me, and I'm more than happy to help you start changing your life with the business part as well. I don't talk about the business part enough on here, but I started by helping my health. I started by changing my health, helping my family's health, and impacting people around me. And then I'm like, I was offered the opportunity to do business, and I did. I took that opportunity, and I no longer drive 70 to 80 hours a week, 7 days a week for Lyft or Uber or any of that, and struggle to make my ends meet. Now I get on here, I educate every day, I help people, I answer questions, I fill my soul by surrounding myself with people who are trying to get better, and I'm rewarded for that. If that's the kind of life you want, let me know, and I will talk about that with you specifically. Yes, I do. So when you are on my team, I have a whole, what I call a portal that you get when you join when you join the system, you get put into that portal that gives you all kinds of teaching about the product and all of that. I help you till you're up and running. The person who helped me get started, we go get on calls and learning with them every Monday. There's a ton of support. It's not like you just join this and you're left alone. If you want more about the business, the thing for me is I want like-minded people on my team. I slowed down building up my team last year because I had to sit down and figure out for myself, what do I want? Do I just want anybody who wants to come in? And no, I want people who care about people to come into my team and really help people. If you're just here to make sales, if that's all you care about, you're not the person for me and I'm not the person for you. If you want to impact people and help them, you're absolutely the person I want. I have had over 1,000 different clients on the system. It's okay. So if you have all of those symptoms, this system can help you with the insulin resistance. I'm not going to tell you the system is going to cure all of that. That would be a lie, right? What I'm saying is we're addressing the insulin resistance. I want people to understand how insulin resistance is causing all of these things. When we stop and look at how do we impact insulin resistance and address that, then we can start to get better. And that's how people like me have been able to overcome all of this stuff. Now, do I do extra stuff to help with the liver that got damaged, to help with the fact that I have no gallbladder? Yeah, I do detoxes. I do some castor oil. I do other things. So, but the thing that I do not live without is this. My children know that that's the one thing that I have to have every day for the rest of my life because it saved my life, or I feel like it saved my life. What if you're not insulin resistant but still have some of these problems? If you have more than 2 or 3 of these problems, you're probably insulin resistant, and I'd be interested to know why you think you're not. 93% of us. In 2018, there was a study done that said 88% of us had a metabolic disorder that is highly linked to insulin and insulin resistance. In 2021, that number increased to 93% of us have some type of metabolic dysfunction, and that your metabolism is regulated by a number of things. Your thyroid hormone is one, but insulin is one of the key factors in your metabolism. So if 93% of us are suffering from it, and you have a number of these, why do you think you're not insulin resistant? Okay, so you guys, let's give you a calculation this morning, and I cannot remember the other calculation off the top of my head because again, I'm just a normal woman like you guys. I will grab that calculation from my notebook and give that to you. But the number one calculation I want you guys to look at, Dr. Bickman, and by the way, the system, Dr. Bickman, who I talk about all the time, wrote the book Why We Get Sick. It's in my recommendations page, and he also has a book coming out on July 9th called How Not to Get Sick. It has recipes and all that in it. Go pre-order that book. It'll change your life. I can't wait to get my copy. He helped develop these because he's a metabolic specialist and he wanted to help figure out a way to address insulin resistance. Okay. The insulin resistant triglycerides divided by your HDL is one of the scores. But Ro, let's talk about that. So that number, so when you go to your labs and you look at your cholesterol panel, you're going to get your triglyceride number and you're going to divide it by the number for your HDL. We're not talking LDL right now. We're going to talk about HDL. What you want, the resulting number should be 1.5 or less. That's going to give you a really good indication that you're metabolically healthy. But it's not perfect and it's not the only indication. If it's 2 or higher, you're building some insulin resistance and you should start addressing it. If you're 3 or higher, you need to address it. So there is, for a HOMA IR video, you know what? I think I forgot about that. So there is one, Ro, that I can't remember what Dr. it was now because I listened to so many. It was in my notes from the other day from Dr. Eckberg. This is the other calculation. And yes, now that the weekend is over, because you guys, I take the weekend off to spend with my family. I do the best I can to help people, but look, I have a real life, and it took me a while to understand that I don't have to work every day. Um, I want to have a normal life and unplug just like everyone else. So the weekends are my family time. Now, Dr. Stan Eckberg, I talked about it on Friday. This is the other calculation, and yes, that video will come out today. It's you take your glucose times that HOMA-IR. Dr. Eckberg says you can add the HOMA, HOMA, insulin resistance test to your metabolic panel for about 20 bucks. So when you get that number in, then you're going to look at that panel, and now we're not looking at the cholesterol panel at all. What we're looking at is your fasting glucose number, and you're looking at your fasting insulin resistant number, the HOMA-IR. So you're taking the glucose times the insulin, and if you're in the US, and so you're looking at milligrams to deciliter, then you want to divide that number by 405. Again, I'm going to do some graphics and stuff so you guys can have that video, look back at it, and have this written down to know what to do, right? It's a pretty simple calculation, but it sounds complicated now. So glucose, fasting glucose, times your HOMA-IR, so you have to get that added to your metabolic panel, multiply them together, then divide them by 405 if it's milligrams to deciliter. The number that you're looking for should be 0.5 to 1.5. That's going to give you a better indicator if you're having insulin resistance or not than just the other one that we talked about just a minute ago. The other one is great, but they found that there's a lot of times people are actually insulin resistant and still come up with like a 1.5. So actually looking at the glucose and the insulin and that calculation is going to help you better understand if you're insulin resistant. Now, both of them I think are great calculations. If all you have is your lipid panel, start there. But if you're talking about millimoles per deciliter, so you're in a European country or Canada or whatnot, you want to do the same thing, your glucose times your insulin, but now you're going to divide it by 22.5, and you're going to end up with the same number, 0.5 to 1.5, to say you're insulin sensitive. Okay, so those are calculations, and I'm going to make a huge note on my computer to get that calculation done for you guys today in a video that you can find. I'm so sorry that I didn't get it done Friday before I took my weekend off, but I'll get it out today. Okay, so I hope that helps. Those are some calculations you can use to know. Does the system work? Yes, the system worked for me. It worked for Ro. It worked for so many other people that are actually in this live. I have women who've lost over 160 pounds, men who've lost over the same amount without the damaging side effects of medications and all of that. So and it has the guarantees. So I'm not talking about doing something that's causing damage to your body. I'm talking about doing something that's building your body up. And if you understand that most of us are not getting in enough fiber. So science says, reports say that most of us adults are getting in 10 to 15 grams of fiber, even when we think we're eating healthy, because of all the imperfections with our food now. So, if we look at the fact that we should be getting in 30 to 40 grams of fiber, how are we going to do that? If we don't want to get in all the extra calories, if we don't want to have to go find all the extra food, and by the time you buy all that extra food, you've probably spent as much as you would have on the system anyway. The system gives me an additional 10 grams of fibers, but very specific fibers for my blood sugars every day. Now I'm closer to that level that I need to have, and I don't have to worry about going out and finding bushels of broccoli when I'm traveling or when I'm at my kid's house. We had an amazing dinner last night. She made some balsamic glazed meatballs, some roasted green beans, and then they did have some garlic bread on the side. But that's not enough fiber in the day. So I still have this, and it's easy. I mix this in water, drink it 10 minutes before I eat. That gives me the fiber I need to protect myself from glucose spikes when I'm eating. It reduces a glucose spike by 20% according to scientific papers. Okay, and Ro, I do not want to skip what Ro just said, so I got to come back to Ro's comment. Ro said, and by the way, go follow Ro as well, please. She's on the same mission as me. Her A1C was over 14. You guys, if you don't know, an A1C that high, and Ro, you can let me know if I'm wrong, but mine was at 7.4 and we were concerned. When I have people who are at 13.3, Ro, yours is one of the highest I've heard of. Sorry to say, but that's really, you're looking at, if you don't change that, you're looking at a death sentence, really. An A1C that high means your body's deteriorating rapidly. You're going to end up with foot sores and edema and all kinds of problems, and you want to fix that. Hers is now 5.9. They're changing the number for the A1C all the time. It used to be like 6.1 was normal. They dropped it down to 5.9. It's down to 5.7. I've heard rumors that they're going to drop it down to 5.5. But 5.9 is still pre-diabetic, but she's gotten it from, oh my God, I'm sick, I'm diabetic, and this is like end stage everything, to she's just pre-diabetic and will probably be not even in that range in the next 6 months or so. So Ro has a medical background as well, and it worked for her. We have doctors who are doing it. Dr. Ahmed, who's a cardiologist, has been on my live. He's talked about it. He prescribes it to every one of his patients, or suggests it to every one of his patients. It works. When you eat what you want in those 8 hours, you mean 2 meals. So let's talk about what I eat and how I eat. No snacks, right? So I've been changing things up a little bit because I'm working on my liver, my metabolism, a thyroid. And by the way, I got a hormone panel done, a complete hormone panel done with saliva. If you guys really want a real picture of your blood work or your hormones, please do saliva or urine. I'll say that if you want to know why, I'll tell you that in a little bit. But I did a saliva test. It was combined saliva and blood. But my hormones were all in normal range. My cortisol was a little high at night, which that makes sense to me. But big difference between 2.5 years ago when I started the system, and my cortisol level was never in normal range. My thyroid was never in normal range. My estrogen and progesterone were not in normal range. My testosterone was not in normal range. None of those things, my DHEA, none of it was in normal range. Now, all of it is in normal range. My thyroid could still use a little help because it's at the low end of normal, but all of my hormones are in normal range. And the only thing I'm supplementing now is a little bit of thyroid to help that thyroid. All I did was address the insulin resistance. We've gone over hormones and insulin resistance in other lives, and I will do it again if somebody wants me to, because I love doing this stuff. But it really does help. Getting the insulin under control, because it affects everything in your body, really helps with all of those things. So the system I use did all of that. It's helped Ro as well. And you had cirrhosis. And we have endocrinologists who are recommending the system as well. So it's a tea that I have in the morning, a pre-meal drink that I have before I eat anything. So you guys, if you're on my lives, you see me drinking my tea every morning. The tea, and I'm doing a series of videos on the 13 benefits of this tea, thanks to Dr. Ahmed, who brought it up to me. So this tea gives me mental energy and clarity. It can help improve sports performance by 10 to 15% because of the energy it gives. But it's not just about the caffeine in this. This has a small amount of naturally occurring caffeine in it, about 80 grams in a cup, which is less than a cup of coffee, right? But it has 3 things called adaptogens that are added into this as a naturally occurring substance in this that help mediate how that caffeine acts. So now it's not harmful to my heart. I was terrified at first because my blood pressure was so high, and I'm like, you're drinking something with caffeine in it. What in the hell are you doing? But I gave it a shot, and now my blood pressure is normal. This has components in it that help with normal blood pressure. It has antioxidant, anti-cancer activities in it. And it has anti-inflammatory properties in it. I'm doing those videos one at a time every couple of days. They're in the tab on my TikTok called Yerba Mate, so go look for it. They'll be in a tab similar to that on Facebook or on YouTube as well. So you guys will be able to go back and find those benefits, why I drink this tea. This tea, let's talk about the tea really quick, and then I'm going to talk about the fiber part. You guys can get it in my profile. I've put the link in before, but let's try it again. Um, but I'll talk about both products. The tea is just, it doesn't break my fast. It's helping me burn fat for fuel. Now, this tea has 375 times the chlorogenic acids, a component that could cross the blood-brain barrier, 375 times more than your bagged yerba mate teas that you get at the store. When you get those bagged teas, they're not purified from environmental toxins and whatnot. So you're getting all of those toxins and molds as well in those bagged teas. Now, for me, when I look at it, do I want to deal with steeping 375 bags of tea and trying to condense that into something that I can drink in a day? Do I want to carry that around and try and figure that out when I'm on the go and I need energy? No. Do I want to deal with the extra pesticides and toxins and molds in that tea? No. This gives me all of that in one simple packet that I mix into water, hot or cold, and it gives me all of these benefits. If I were to buy even 30 bags of normal yerba mate tea, steep it, get all those pesticides and toxins, I still wouldn't be getting the benefits of this, and I would be paying as much or more. Then the second part is, and I'll come back to these questions, is this. So 7 different soluble and insoluble fibers. I'm doing videos on the difference between soluble and insoluble fibers, so you guys can go back and find that and some of the benefits of fiber for your gut health, for your reduced inflammation, for your immune system, for your gut microbiome, all of that. This fiber has 7 different soluble and insoluble fibers. Insoluble fibers meaning either it takes in water or it doesn't. So the kind that don't take in water create a matrix that looks like a mesh. And then the soluble fibers that take in water create like a gel substance. But the insoluble fibers are what holds that soluble fiber together. Now you have a complete matrix that goes in your gut, starts to make you feel full before you even eat. That's why we drink it 10 minutes before. So now you're eating less. Your satiety cues are going up because your gut's feeling fuller. But it's encapsulating the food you do eat, taking the sugars and the fats and delivering them to your system in a slower manner than we've been getting, in a manner that our body is used to when we used to get fibers in all the time. Okay, so that's the importance of it. Does berberine do that for me? No, it doesn't. Can it lower blood sugar? Yeah, but is it giving me this protection and helping my gut health and feeding my probiotics and doing all that? No, it's not. Do I prefer to do something that gives me like an overall overarching effect in my gut and my blood sugars? Yeah, that's the process for me. So again, I did the other things and it wasn't working, and then I found this. So that's it. Tea in the morning, a pre-meal drink before I eat my first 2 biggest meals. There's so many questions. I'm trying to get to them all. What do I eat in a day? A normal person, what I'm going to tell you is you want to do a 16-8 fast. You have, and this is just a suggested timeline, you eat dinner about 6 p.m., right? If you eat dinner at 8 p.m., then we're going to go with 8 p.m., but we're going to say 6 p.m. because I got to start somewhere. 12 hours later at 6 a.m., normally you wake up, you have a bagel, you have fruit, you have coffee, you have whatever, and you're spiking your insulin again. But what you don't understand is that your insulin just came down. And your component hormone, glucagon, which allows you to burn fat for fuel, which allows your gut to reset and all that, has just come out. And now you're telling glucagon, go away because we're going to bring insulin back out. Glucagon and insulin can't play roles in the body at the same time, and the body's always going to prioritize insulin over glucagon. I can go over why, but that's just the truth. So glucagon is fat burning and cleaning up and helping your gut in that fasting state. You're helping your liver clean out. You're helping your kidneys clean out. You're helping your intestines clean out. You're helping reset your gut microbiome. 16 hours at hour 12, about 8 hours is when insulin goes down. 10 hours is when glucagon goes up. 12 hours is when the gut and everything starts to respond, and now you eat and shut all that down. At 14 hours, your fat burning is increased, your gut's resetting and cleaning up. So we just give that another couple hours to work. That's why 16 hours of fasting. We're just allowing the body to utilize the tools it has within it. So how much water do I drink? I drink a half a gallon to a gallon a day. Now, so that's why the 16-hour fast. And then if you will understand that every time you put food in your face, you're spiking your insulin. So every time you eat, you're spiking your insulin. If you understand that it takes about 8 hours for that to come down to a baseline, and you want to get it down somewhat in the middle of your eating window, you want to not snack. What you're doing every time you snack is you're telling your body that you want to live off of sugar, and your body gets used to, okay, they're going to give me sugar, they're going to give me sugar, they're going to give me sugar. We need to have insulin out all the time to deal with this, because this person's going to eat something and we need to deal with that. If you want to get your insulin levels under control, 16-hour fast, 2 meals within an 8-hour window. There's been some confusion because I said 4 to 8 hours. It's not that you eat every 4 hours. You want to wait at least 4 hours between having your next meal. 4 hours, your blood sugars have come down and started to normalize, okay, which means your insulin levels are dropping. You do this over and over. Now your insulin levels are coming down instead of being spiked all the time. Your insulin levels are lower and slower, allowing you to be insulin sensitive and use the insulin correctly when it is needed in your body. It's not that we don't want insulin. We want it. We want it in the right amounts at the right times. So that's that. Now, for me, what I'm doing, because I'm trying to increase my proteins and increase my fiber, I am doing a 16-8 fast every day, and I'm doing a 36 to 48-hour fast once a week. Now, in order to get the nutrients I need in during the week so that my body has everything it needs, I'm increasing that. It's really hard for me to get in more than 50 grams of protein every time I eat, and I need about 150 grams of protein and at least 30 grams of fiber every day that I'm eating. So for me, I am eating every 4 hours on my eating days, but it looks like this. I get that fiber in first. So now, instead of just 2 of these, I'm drinking 3. It means I've got 15 grams of that 30 grams of fiber just from that. I'm focusing on protein. So I'm really in those meals. I'm not focused on, ooh, this tastes good, I just want to eat this. I'm focused on giving my body what it needs, and that means protein. So the first thing that goes in after the fiber is about 50 grams of protein, and then some healthy fats. Now, we're going to talk more tomorrow about the gallbladder and how fats are not creating this. Sugar's creating this, okay? But for me, that's what it looks like. About 50 grams of protein in 3 different meals at 4-hour intervals. That's specific to me and some things I'm trying to heal in my body. Everybody else, I'm going to encourage you to start with 16-8. Get rid of the snacking. You've got to get used to not having those snacks. But can't I have some nuts? Can't I have a piece of fruit? Can't I have? No. If we're talking about getting your insulin down, no. Understand that even that protein that I eat, about half of it converts into glucose. Okay, so I'm getting a good deal of protein and building blocks to help these organs in a 60-year-old body that really need help, and try and get the amount of protein in that I need. But that still is spiking my glucose. So and I'm also aimed at getting in calories. And calories, you guys, stop this whole incessant mess about calories. Calories are an energy measurement. So it's just how you're using energy. If you're using energy from sugar, you're going to be spiking your insulin and storing more of it in your fat cells. Fat's not making you fat. Fat's not making you fat. Fat's not making you fat. Focus on your fruit fats, which are olive oil, avocado oil, coconut oil, and then the animal fats, butter, ghee, and the fats that come normally on your meats. And more science is coming out saying that's absolutely fine. In fact, those saturated fats, olive oil, avocado oil, coconut oil, and the animal oils are helping prevent this through processes in the liver and how it is getting rid of stuff into the bile and into the gallbladder. We're going to talk about that tomorrow. But I have somebody reminding me that I was supposed to be on a call with them, so I'm going to hop off. Tomorrow we'll go over a little bit more of this, and we'll talk about the gallbladder. If you guys are interested in the system, please go to my profile and find the link there. You'll also find a WhatsApp, so you can text me and say, we can have some conversation, and you can ask me about what's going on with you and if this could help you. And anybody who works with me knows I am not a high pressure person. Do I believe in the system? Absolutely I do, because I feel like it saved my life, and I will talk more about that in some success or testimonial videos because it really did save my life, you guys. PCOS is highly linked to insulin resistance. I will go over PCOS again later this week. Tomorrow we're going to do gallbladder. So if you know anybody who's dealing with the liver and gallbladder, you want them to start to understand how they can get better. And even if you've had your gallbladder removed, we're going to talk about that tomorrow, how that affects you once you've had your gallbladder removed, how to prevent that gallbladder removal if you haven't had that happen yet, and how insulin resistance links into all of that, and how the system is helping me post gallbladder removal. Liver's enlarged but normal function. I am not a liver specialist. I talk about insulin resistance. Normal function. Let me see what I can do to see if I can find any links that may help you out. But there are a number of other things with anything that I talk about. Insulin resistance is not the only thing that can cause problems, right? My little grandson has an enlarged liver because of a disease he has, a genetic and definitely DNA disordered disease. So his gallbladder his liver is enlarged because he can't process fats like you and I. So there are other things that can cause that enlargement. But according to most doctors, the biggest cause of non-alcoholic fatty liver disease is insulin resistance. Okay, so you guys, I will see you guys tomorrow morning. I appreciate every one of you guys. I have so much fun on these lives. I have so much fun when you guys ask me questions like that, so that I can go, because look, when you guys ask questions and I have to get you answers, I learn too. And I'm like, holy cats, I didn't know that. So I love that you spurn me to learn more. You follow up with your doctors and find out if there's a genetic or viral or something going on with your liver. I'll see what I can find out tonight to give you whatever answers I can find. Again, I can't diagnose, I can't tell you, but I can certainly pass on information. You experienced insulin resistance. So the way I treated my insulin resistance, Alicia, is with a simple system. That's a tea that I drink every morning and a pre-meal drink that I have before I eat anything. Because I didn't go over it this morning, you guys, there is a link in my profile in that link tree. There's 6 simple steps that's free. Start reading that and start making those changes. And then you want extra help, do the system. But I got to run. I'll be back at 8:30 tomorrow to see you all because I enjoy your presence in my life. And I hope that all of this helps you. And I appreciate you all. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Have a great day.